This country, under this APC regime, came to become the poverty capital of the world. It became the place where the minimum wage became the miserable wage for workers.
But if you think about Nigeria itself, it's an open prison.
Mass poverty, multidimensional poverty, particularly hunger, immediate causes hunger. People are starving in Nigeria.
Right. So for our first question, so why have Nigerians taken to the streets for 10 days in a row? What motivated the Nigerians to take to the streets?
I think the whole movement for End Bad Governance started in 2020 with EndSARS revolt, which was a revolt against police brutality. And upon completion of that struggle, which was badly handled by the Nigerian government, they killed the protesters, several of them. People started then asking for an end to bad governance. It felt like it was beyond police brutality, you know. But our movement, the Take It Back movement and Revolution Now movement, also had kickstarted in 2019, and a whole paradigm shift and asked for a revolution in Nigeria since 2019. That led to my own arrest and detention and restriction to Nigeria for 5 years. I just got back to the US in March. And so we're now on the 7th day of this particular End Bad Governance move, which is totally organized by people across Nigeria, beyond, including diaspora, to eradicate terrible governance in the country, which has created unemployment, insecurity, mass poverty, multidimensional poverty, as it is now known, and insecurity and corruption in the system. So that is what is now driving people, particularly hunger. Immediate causes hunger. People are starving in Nigeria.
I see. And why did it start specifically on August 1, 2024? Was there anything significant about the date that made everyone declare a 10-day strike?
Yes, August 1st is because Revolution Now movement started on August 5, 2019. So we were planning a memorial for, a symbolic action, which we do every year since 2019. And others reached out to us and said, why don't we just start early and go from 1 to 10? And in the middle will be Revolution Now, which is August 5, last Monday. So that is why we considered August as a very crucial month, because that was when the first Revolution Now action took place in 2019.
I see. And how has the response of the government and authorities been so far? We've heard reports of police brutality happening on the ground.
It's terrible. They've killed a lot of protesters. They've arrested over 2,000 persons and summarily detained them. Soldiers have killed, police have been killing. They have also been using non-state actors to harass, torture, assault people, including journalists in Lagos and Abuja, and today in Port Harcourt, one of the very active centers of this movement in Nigeria. It's terrible. It's terrible what the Nigerian government have done to these peaceful, non-violent protesters.
I see. And so moving a bit back, we saw the 15 demands that the protesters made, and condolences with the the families of the deceased who've been affected by the police brutality. So these protests, why are they calling for the Constitution to be scrapped? Why what about the Constitution is so problematic? And yeah,
it is the origin of the Constitution. It was made by the military in 1999 after we fought them for several years to chase them out of power. So the constitution itself is a fraudulent document in the sense that it said we the people as a preamble, but the people didn't make the Nigerian constitution. It didn't go through a referendum. And a lot of Nigerians have said that they need a constitution that takes into consideration the diversity, the aspirations, and the desire for opportunity to explore other things as an article of faith and unity. So that is why we're calling for the scrapping of the constitution. And also, we're also using that opportunity to ask for a unicameral legislative system to cut waste and to be able to make certain assertions about the future of Nigeria, including sexuality. It includes marijuana use in the country and the role of youth in a modern digitalized society, which this particular constitution did not anticipate when they were writing it as a decree. So we just want to purge the country of any form of military influence, because we also had a terrible past with the Nigerian military, and we don't want them anymore in our system, so that they will not continue to inflict injuries on our DNA.
I see. And actually, speaking of the protests right now, did the protest in Nigeria happening just now, did it take inspiration from Kenya? Or did it...
I would say that Kenya took inspiration from Nigeria, because most of their hashtags are actually Revolution Now, which was started in 2019. And I'm sure they saw the massive protest that took place, known as NSAS, in 2020. So Nigeria, interestingly, this is one area where we can assertively say that Nigeria is inspiration for other African countries, especially what happened in 2020 with NSAS.
Yes, I remember the NSARS movement. Even us in Asia, we were also joining in the hashtag. I believe that happened around October 2020, correct? That's do you recall what happened back then? Why NSARS was such a big thing for our audience? What is it all about?
It was a massive revolt against police brutality, especially a notorious unit of the police force known as the anti-robbery squad, special anti-robbery squad, that has been killing a lot of young people, engaging in extrajudicial killings, disappearances and illegal detentions of persons, and extortion. So it was that which led to NSAS.
I see. And we also see now there's this woman on the profile picture of people calling for end bad governance. What is the story behind the symbol that the movement has chosen? Or the symbol that
there's a lot of symbols. There's a lot of symbols, but I think it was, chosen to demonstrate that Nigeria is also not left behind in a movement that is driven by women. Because NSAS had a lot of female activists who were engaged in raising funds, who protested, so it's Black power, and it returned to what a lot of Black people are proud of, the natural Black woman, who is a source of strength, beauty, and emotion for a lot of people. So that's why we're putting women back where they should be. And there's a lot of struggles that were led by women in Nigeria, protest movements, including the mother of Fela Kuti, the musician, Afrobeat musician. The first most notable protest movement in Nigeria was a movement led by women in 1929. It's referred to as Aba Women Riots by the colonialists at that time. So, yes, it is that women have always played a major role in the liberation movement or the protest movement in Nigeria.
I see. That's very inspirational. And on the other hand, we saw some protesters waving Russian flags and even a Chinese flag, which was confiscated by the army since they say it's against the law. So what influenced some of these protesters to sort of wave these flags in the first place? And
Yeah, I think it's their own way of saying that their country no longer represents a safe haven for their own aspirations and desire for a better future. It is their own way of poking fun at the Nigerian institutions, and but there are those who are also using it to call for military takeover because they believe that Russia had a hand in the militaries that took over in Niger and I think Mali, Burkina Faso. So that is the suggestion. But we have distanced ourselves from people calling for military to come back to power. We don't want military rule in Nigeria. But as a general protest culture, we're not opposed to anybody using whatever insignia they want to use to denounce the current state as they were protesting. And we made it clear that nobody should be punished for waving Russian flags. People wave Palestinian flags. People wave Israeli flags in Nigeria, Israel, the religious Christians in Nigeria. And a lot of Nigerian leaders also carry more than one passport. There's multiple citizens of different countries, so they have no rights to clamp down anybody who is using the waving of Russian flags as a protest against what they have denounced as a country that is ineffective in accommodating them and a better future.
I see. So, in a sense, would you say that it's a way in calling the international community to take action in Nigeria? And how can the international community help the protesters right now in Nigeria?
Well, it's to continue to highlight why the protest is going on, to highlight the abuses to which protesters, non-violent protesters, in their large numbers have been subjected, the torture, the harassment, and the extrajudicial murders. And to also whomever want to be in solidarity with us in any way we can be of help to ourselves, and because this is also in a way an international growing movement on the continent of Africa. A lot of young people in Africa are revolting against the old order, and we'll be happy for Nigeria to champion this because it's the most populous country on the continent of Africa. It has the highest population. It's strategically located. It has some of the best resources, some of the most influential culture in music and art. Nigeria has, we have it all. So we are set to become the prime mover of a new Africa Renaissance.
I see. And lastly, is there any message that you want to set out to our viewers or to the international audience about what is happening in Nigeria and their own ways that they can help?
If anybody would like to reach out to us, our movement is on Twitter. It's called TIB Movement, at TIB Movement. My own Twitter handle is at YELE Showore. It's YELESOWORE. Whomever might be willing to reach out to us for solidarity should please feel free to do so. And we appreciate that you are connecting us with our colleagues in your own country. Everybody who is a lover and seeker of freedom, we are brothers and sisters. And we appreciate and extend our hand of solidarity to you as well.
I see. And I believe that concludes our interview. Our brief interview.
Nigeria, they use computer. The leaders of Nigeria, they use radio where they turn the knob.